we do have a very special guest on with us today, Ryan Urbinsky. And Ryan is the VP of FFL Honor and Valor. So I don't want to tell Ryan's whole story because he's going to get to that in just a second. However, Ryan is a Beast personal producer, issuing over $60,000 or helping over 60 families each and every month. And also his team is helping over 300 families each and every month. So definitely somebody, I'm excited to hear from, not only on the personal producer side, but also on the building side. So Ryan definitely has a lot to offer on both of those sides. Ryan, how are you doing today?
Hey, Marissa, I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate you having me on the call so I can help in any way I can. So thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. We don't take it lightly, and we do appreciate you. So I know I gave you kind of a little bit of an intro there, Ryan, but if you don't mind just kind of introducing yourself, who you are, what you were doing before FFL, and what kind of got you into FFL.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ryan Urbanski. Our team is Family First Life, Honor and Valor. I've been with Family First Life for about 2.5 years, 3 years coming up in November. Prior to me being with Family First Life, I was a police officer. I served in, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Baltimore. It's a town south of Baltimore in Anne Arundel County. I was a police officer for 7 years. I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed serving. I enjoyed helping people. Unfortunately, due to an injury on the job, trying to save somebody's life, I got injured. And the injury wound up leading to some medical complications, a huge loss of income. And I was put in a position where I wasn't sure financially how I was going to take care of my family. So it's kind of crazy. A neighbor of mine who wasn't even in the business knew Michael File, and I got my insurance license in November of 2019. And I just started from there. You know, I took my test and plugged in the training. And there was no plan B for me, Marissa. It was plan B was make plan A work. I didn't have a choice.
Absolutely. So just kind of like right there, Ryan, two things that kind of point out to me is first, you were a police officer for 7 years, which, that's amazing because you helped a lot of people. And not only that, but you were willing to help somebody else at the cost of, yourself. Of course, you didn't know what was going to happen, but due to that injury, you found Family First Life. And it's kind of crazy because everybody kind of comes into this business with a different background. However, I don't know many people that came in from a police officer background. But with that being said, do you feel like the correlation of serving almost helps kind of make up for, what you were doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, so I believed in life insurance because I've been on the receiving end as a police officer when I've had to do death notifications and people didn't have it. And as law enforcement, you have to get the family to start making that next step, which is notifying funeral homes. And when you're told, I don't know what I'm going to do, there's no money, there's no life insurance. When I got into this, I really truly believe this is not a sales position. This is serving people. And I think that's really the mindset going into this. And I still have to this day is we don't sell anything. We are serving people that ask for our help.
And that's huge because, it comes down to not only just, serving people, but how you look at a lead, how you look at a no-show, how you look at the person who tells you that they have to think about it, right? There's all these different stigmas, so to say, that we can kind of give to it. But before I get into that, I do want to ask, when coming into the industry, Ryan, like, did you hit the ground running or did you have some time to waste before, getting started? What did that look like for you? And what did it feel like?
Yeah, so when I got injured, I was working part-time. So I was working behind a desk answering phones. So I was still working full-time. So I worked part-time, but I almost worked as hard part-time. I almost put as many hours in part-time as I did my full-time job. So when I would go into work, I would work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 1 week, which is 6 days straight, and then I'd have 3 days off. So what I was doing is I was dialing and being very disciplined. After I got off of work, I knew that in order to get out of my full-time job, that I had to outwork my situation to a point where I could supplement my full-time income. So it was working 3 p.m. till 9, 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. And in the beginning, you don't know much. And, somebody just, yanking your chain and saying, hey, I'm not going to be home all day. And, you set appointments 10 o'clock at night and you're still able to help people. That's what I was doing. And then when I would rotate and I would go from day work to evening, I would be working 3 p.m. till 11. So then I would dial or run in the morning. And then on my days off, because I had 3 days off, I was taking that first day off and I was dialing and booking appointments for the last 2 days. So I didn't have time off. Like it was, I had to work because I didn't have a choice. So I think when you asked me, did I hit the ground running? Yeah, I worked until I figured it out. I had to run enough appointments to shorten the learning curve.
Absolutely. And that's like a really big deal, right, Ryan? Because sometimes people can take, a new agent can take, a year literally to go through that 100 appointments, and they're putting themselves through chaos the whole year. Whereas if they just got through those first 100 appointments in a month to a month and a half, the learning curve is, now you're on your up and up, right? Because even me going back to, I'm like, if I had to go back and do that now, knowing what I know, I would do it faster because I would take in and absorb all that information, right? Whereas when it takes longer, you as a human being don't take it all in. So you hit the ground running for sure. You didn't have off plan B. You were like, I'm doing this and I'm doing this at the same time. And basically you were very, very scheduled, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you run the amount of appointments, like you always hear the magic number 30, 30 to 40 appointments a week, right? It's pretty much doing part-time, probably anywhere between 22 to 30 some appointments a week. Just because when my days off, I was running 12 appointments. When I was going before work, I was running 4 or 5, right? I understood that I needed to sit in front of as many people as I could. And I didn't overcomplicate it. Like I was told to get on the phones and book, and I didn't have any training. I was literally told, pick up the phone and dial because you bought leads, and then call when you're in the house, watch these videos. And that's what I did. And, and it's true when, you hear people all the time say the phones are about 80% of this business, is because what, I started to realize is, thank goodness that I had enough appointments that even when I messed up, I had another opportunity to help another family because I stacked the deck in my favor.
Absolutely. So for you kind of coming in, you came in hot. You were like, I understand this thing. I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do, and whatever's going to happen, so to say, is going to happen, but I'm seeing it. It's real. It's working. So you came in, you hit the ground running for sure, to say the least. And Ryan, I feel like, kind of what your background might be a little bit different, but as a human being, we have anxieties, for lack of a better term, right? What are some of the things that you did early on, or you still do, to just kind of keep your mind right? That we're literally just helping people who ask for help. Like that's our job. How did you simplify that or collapse that in your brain?
I think the anxiety comes from, in this business, and I think in any business, you have to remove emotion out of it. But you're right, we are all humans, so we're naturally going to be emotional from time to time. I think it's okay to some degree to be emotional, but it's got to be a short window of time. Like if I'm not able to help a family, what I did is I stopped blaming the person, and I called immediately after the home, my upline, to figure out what I did wrong, what I could have done better. And then after that phone call, which I've heard somebody say before, is if you transition from people to people, you look forward to that next phone call. So I called, I figured out what I did. And in the car, when I was to my next appointment, I put it all behind me. And then I tried to, like Paul McLean, I listened to his podcast, 8 Steps to Final Expense. And he says that you have to you've got to put everything to the side. You've got to decompartmentalize everything, because what I started to realize is if you hold something, your experience or your negativity, or you carry that emotion into another appointment, people realize that you're emotional or you're waiting for a sale. So I really didn't, I'm not gonna say I didn't care when I made mistakes, but as soon as I stepped out of the car to help somebody else, it was almost like I forgot what happened before.
I love that. So you're able to basically reset your mind, like, John doesn't know what happened at, Landon's house. So does it really matter? I have to leave that behind so I can help John out and have a clear mind space.
Yep.
And I'm sure the same thing goes, like, if you're having a bad day, like, or a bad day personally, like you just feel off. It's like, it's not about you, right? Like it's
Right.
fine. So that's a
And
lot,
Melissa,
being able to leave all that behind, and also just reaching out for help, saying, hey, what would you have done differently, versus blaming the client, right? They didn't have this, or they, said this and I said this, right? You called for help. So that's huge. Love it.
absolutely.
And with a brand new agent, would you say, Ryan, like, that you're more likely to succeed if you call in the home and after the home, or like you're more likely to succeed if you wait for things to build up for a week and then you call?
No, you have to call. I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to call before the house, and then when I was in the house, and then after. But what I will tell you about calling before a house is you can't make any preconceived notation. Apparently, I just had a brain spasm. Preconceived notations about somebody's health or what their situation is before you get into the appointment. So I stopped doing that, because what you're going to find is you may sit with somebody that's 23 where you believe that a certain product may be suitable. However, they've got some serious medical problems, or an older person that's in perfect health, so I don't really, I let the cards play out in the house, and then calling when you're in the home and just letting that family know that, hey, I may not know everything, but I'm going to treat you like my family. And I'm going to reach up and reach out, because I want to make sure that your family's put in the best possible position when I leave here. So the biggest thing, number one, I put to the side very early was my ego. I don't have to know everything. It's okay to call and ask for help. And I still do it sometimes.
Absolutely. And when you can put your ego to the side, it helps you a lot in this business, because you'll see that there's so many other doors, so to say, AKA people that you can talk to, open up to, and that are willing to give feedback, right? Like, Ryan, you don't have any financial gain being on this call right now, but you're, a team player, and you're willing to help the team. So thank you for that. But point really being is, like what Ryan's saying, before you go in the home, like sometimes agents will call me and they'll say, I'm going to be sitting with the 75-year-old. Like he's saying, we don't know what that 75-year-old's actual health conditions are, even if you went over it on the phone. So getting in the home, calling from the home after you go through your financial inventory. And then, if you're not closing, or you are closing, calling when you leave and just saying like, hey, this is what happened. What could I have done better? What could I have done different? So reaching out and reaching up. And then with that being said, Ryan, how important are dial days to you, and why? Like, what does your schedule look like? Do you plug into your team's calls? Have you always plugged into the training? Was that always kind of instilled in you, or what does that look like for you?
So yes, dial days are, without dial days, you can't help families. So like, there's a lot of things that come up in life, even with family and things like that. But dial days, which are Mondays and Thursday for me, are non-negotiable, meaning that I will reschedule doctor's appointments if my wife makes an appointment on a Monday or Thursday, because I block out that entire that time frame, right? So getting to an office or being on Zoom with the team is crucial. And I start dialing 7:30 in the morning. Like today, I was done by 11. And again, it's, if I have a late start, it's going to put you behind. You get on the phones at 10, 11 o'clock and think that you're going to be done by 1 o'clock. It's just, you've already made a mistake by either not waking up or not stressing the importance of being on the phone. So non-negotiable, Marissa, yeah, I have to be on the phones. I plug into training all the time. And even to this day, I tell people all the time, I probably watched thousands and thousands of hours worth of training. There's still stuff I haven't seen. And even if you've seen the majority of it, there's always something that you'll go back and listen to that your brain's not going to absorb everything. So I always learn something new every time I watch a video. So you can never get enough training. It's very, very important because this business is always evolving.
Yeah, and that's huge. And I think that there's been times in this business where like I stopped plugging in for like a week. And I'll be like, why do I kind of feel off, or why do I feel like I can't help why am I not helping people? It's like, oh, because you weren't on the TNL, because you didn't plug into you didn't plug into the stuff you're supposed to plug into. You're not getting like what you actually need to hear about, right? Like I need to hear about Family First Life every day. And that's like pretty much all I want to hear about at this point. But more so, it's like, you got to plug in, because also you're going to find people you resonate with, right? Like Ryan, you might watch a training that, Paul McLean does, and you might be like, I really resonate with him. Then you might watch a training that I do, and you might be like, I don't really resonate with her, right? We all have to kind of find our people. And I always say, like, stick to your trainer, or find more of their content, right? Like Paul has a ton out there. So do a lot of other people. So find your person, plug in, and plug into your team calls. Like if you're on this call right now, you're doing your job. If you're on the dial team this morning, you're doing your job, right? So plugging in and dial days, like Ryan said, you can make it 7:30 to 11, or you can make it 10 till 9 p.m. because you're not going to get off the phones earlier than that. So it's going to be an early start and an early finish, or a late start and a late finish, right? So we all prefer that first one, right? Like Ryan's, I don't want to say you're chilling, but you're probably like, okay, I have my appointments, like I'm good to go, right? Good feeling. So every home's a little bit different. And you are a Hall of Fame producer 2-time.
So I missed it my second year. I was going to be honest with you, I was more focused on building, but I think I ended with like 375 families helped my second year. So I'll definitely hit it this year.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, well, right there. All right. So that's still a lot of families. And with that being said, every home's a little bit different. You don't really know what you're walking into, so to say. But do you prefer to be proactive about objections, like on the front end, or are you more reactive at the end?
That's a great question. I am very proactive, and here is why. Because what I was finding is if you're not very upfront and forward with people, then it kind of breaks some trust, and you have to build trust up. Like I'm very direct inside of the home. I tell people what the process is. Before, I would just like try to be their friend. And then when it came to like social securities numbers or the banking information, it was more of a question like, why do you need that? Well, I'm not giving that. So I'm very proactive. I put it all out there. I tell them what I'm going to do, and I tell them what the process is. I explain to them in the beginning, before I even ask for any information, what I'm going to need. So like HIPAA, that's another thing. Like everybody, there's a lot of people on our team as well that said, hey, I get a lot of pushback with Social Security. And I tell them, I simply say, hey, look, these are non-medical. So I'm sure you're familiar with HIPAA, right? And I'm nodding my head. And if they're not, I just say HIPAA is something that's federally in place to protect your medical records. However, they're going to want to make sure that you're telling me the truth about your medications and your medical conditions. That's all tracked through your Social Security number. So what's your Social Security number? You know what I mean? I'm very, before it even comes up, why do you need this? Why do you need that? I lay it all out there because it just makes it so much smoother.
Right. And it feels good kind of going through the process versus like, okay, I kind of didn't tell this person what that's going to look like. I hope it pans out. Right. And I know we've both been in both shoes because we're not perfect. Right. But when you tell somebody that, like, okay, you're familiar with HIPAA and you're not in your head, because it's like, for the most part, we all are. And they almost would feel stupid saying, I'm not going to give you my social when you already said that. right? How about preparing people for like, so you don't get, I need to think about it, or I keep, or I need to look at my budget.
So I tell them in the beginning, in the very, very, very beginning, I'm with Family First Life. I work for a brokerage that specializes in mortgage protection, life insurance, and retirement planning. What we're going to do today is if we can find something that fits in your budget and something that's going to give you the peace of mind for your protection. Okay, I can't tell you you're approved. My job is to submit the application, and then the company is going to come back between 1 to 3 days and say either yes, you're approved, or no, you're not. I said, and once you get that approval, within 24 to 72 hours later, they're going to go in there and take that payment, and that is when the protection is going to go in place. So like that's in the very, very beginning. So they already know. And then when I get down to the price, I normally give them 5, sometimes 6 different options. I'll go top, the maximum that they can get, and I'll take steps down. And I'll tell them, now look, there is no right or wrong answer. The only wrong answer is if you pick something that's going to exceed your budget. Because Marissa, I'm not going to get a phone call from Susan 3 years from now, and I call the company and come to find out 3 months after I came out here to help you, you canceled the policy. I'm not doing that. So it's got to be sustainable and maintainable. I said, and it also, it's got to, and not picking anything at all isn't going to help you accomplish your goal. So I'll tell them, okay, so take a look at these, and I'm going to see if I can get you qualified. And while they're thinking about it, I'm asking them questions. I'm going through the application. So, and then if I get it again, and I'll say, now look, go with your gut, because everybody circles back around to it. I said, and then if we need to make any modifications up or down, we can. When the policy comes in, we have 30 days to make adjustments up or down. But we got to make sure you get approved first, because if we don't get approved, we've got nothing to think about.
Amen. Okay, love it. And Ryan, if you didn't open up with that at the beginning, do you think you'd get a lot more kickback at the end?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, I want to think about it. No,
Right.
no, that's not how this works. Like I don't make the decisions. The carrier has to come back and give us the opportunity to think about this. So that's what I said, I'm very transparent. So they know what my job is and what we are going to do. We're not shopping around for quotes. When people lead into that, I stop, and I'll actually make it very, very uncomfortable for people, because without value, their price doesn't matter. And I firmly believe that. And if, they're telling me that they're, everything that they're giving me, they're fine, there is no financial loss, there is no reason, then I have no problem posturing and packing my stuff up and getting ready to leave. And multiple times I'll get called back to the table because they realize I'm not like the regular salesperson, and I put it out there. Look, I'm here to help you. If you don't need my help, that's fine. I've got 9 other people I got to help out today. So just being very transparent with these people, and don't be afraid to lose the sale, because it's not the sale, it's helping the family.
I love that, because transparency is key, right? And you're going to be able to be more and more transparent as long as you do that from the beginning, right? Like if you start acting like that at the end, now you're the sales guy, right? But if you're straightforward right from the beginning all the way through to the close, they're expecting you to say that. Like they know they're not thinking about it. You already explained that it's not like they don't have anything to think about. Only the insurance company does, right? So I love that, because you're being proactive, but at the end, you're also not being reactive, like, because sometimes, like you said, being scared to lose the sale, right? Sometimes agents will call and they'll be like, I was in there and I was like, well, if this, and like, they're like, and then I got like nervous and flustered. And it's like, because you're trying to over explain versus just saying what it is. And what you're saying is, I just say what it is. I say, I need your social because of HIPAA, which is true. There's no lie to that. You're saying, like we're taking the application today. There's nothing for you to think about if we don't even know if you're approved. All of these things are true. They're just direct, right? So I think that everybody who's really good in a home knows that, you have to be really direct, even if it's uncomfortable. Like for me, I didn't write insurance for a whole month because I couldn't be direct. Like now I'm very direct in a home and like, because I learned that that doesn't work. So don't try it. Try Ryan's way. And it's also that one consistent thing, Ryan, that we can say in every single house, right? Like your opening probably doesn't sound a whole lot different no matter the lead type. Is that right?
No, you're right. It's exactly the same, and it's repetition. So that's why, like you were saying, how quickly can we get through our first 100 appointments? You start mastering your in-home because of repetition, and you'll realize that your objections in the house dwindle down because you are being direct and you are saying the same thing. You don't have to think about what you're saying. It's just natural.
Absolutely. And I think that, and would you agree that most people usually respect that at the end, that you were
Oh,
forthright, honest, straight shooter?
yep. Because if they get denied, I always tell them, look, we'll submit the application. I understand how important it is. If you don't get approved, we will go to the next best carrier. Right. So before I didn't tell them that and I wasn't direct. And then when they got denied, they were getting irritated or pissed off. And then I was like, oh, well, that's the end, So now it's kind of changed because every scenario I run by them, but they know that it results in submitting that application.
Absolutely. Love that. And then with that being said, how do you avoid having, another agent go in behind you, or like, what does your post close, so to say, sound like, whether that's, somebody else just calling them, another company, just another insurance agent coming in after you?
Yeah. So number one, I think the biggest thing that I've kept consistent is rapport building. It can be a minute to a minute and 30 seconds while you're walking into the house, right? Then I go into my opening as far as what I'm there to do. Throughout the entire process, I am talking, asking questions about their family, getting to know them, calling them by their first name. I think that's very important, because it almost makes you feel like you're either somebody that's been very close to them, but you genuinely care because you're listening. And at the very, very end, what I will say is obviously, congratulations, you've been approved. Now, here's the next step. Okay. The company is going to send this in the mail in about 7 to 10 days. Okay. You can give me a call and I'll come back out here. We'll review it because we want to make sure that you truly understand what this is doing for you. Okay. This is one of these things where you want to throw it in the safe. You want to put it in the closet and not have to worry about when something does happen. I said, and not only am I the underwriter, but I'm also the claims rep. So when something happens, John is going to call me. I'm going to come back out and I'm going to help him fill out all the paperwork, because the last thing he's got to shouldn't be worrying about is, oh my gosh, I don't know what number to call. I don't know what this says on the form. I've got you. So go ahead and take your phone out for me. Okay. And then put my number in your phone. I don't care what you call me. I don't care whether you call me Ryan Emergency, Ryan Insurance, Ryan Home. It doesn't matter. That way, if in a year, 2, 3 years down the road, you can type in that keywords and you know where you're going to find me. So, and then I get a picture with the client. I get a picture and I save them in my phone. And then if they do call me with any questions, it's a little bit more personable, because when you see so many people, all the names are going to jive together. But when you see that person, it brings back kind of some of the things you talked about, and you can actually have a genuine conversation to one of your clients. I have people call me all the time. Hey Ryan, I got the policy. I looked it over. It's great. It's my birthday. And then you know what I mean? So I used to be afraid to answer the phone because I thought they were going to cancel. And now, because I've taken the time and built that value, they'll call me. And now they'll call me when they have children, and now they want insurance for their children. So like they know I'm their guy. So I never have to worry about getting overwritten, because it's not about the price. It's about they're buying me and my service. And they already know what the policy is going to do for them.
Absolutely. And I love that, because like you said, you're not there to be their best friend, but you do build a common ground. You're calling, maybe William, you're calling him Bill, not William, or, Mr. Jones, right? Bill, right? Like common ground. And then also talking about that 7 to 10 days to expect the policy, you'll come out, you'll review it to make sure they know exactly what they have. And basically that you're their guy, right? So it's like, if you were in my house and you were just like, okay, we're done, and this is your policy number, have a great day. and now someone else calls me, I'm going to be more likely to answer the phone. But
Mhm.
now I have a picture with Ryan, that, Ryan, do you send the picture to your client too? And have
Yeah.
them, yeah. So
Yeah,
like when,
save it.
exactly, it's beautiful. So like, then like you call them and the picture pops up and it's like, they can't help but remember that experience either. So, absolutely. So I recommend implementing a lot of that into your post close if you're not doing a lot of that stuff already. Some of us are really good at taking pictures with our clients. Some of us, could do better. Ryan, you're really good at taking pictures with your clients, right?
Yeah, it's even funny. Even if I don't get a picture for whatever reason, like maybe I don't know, 1 out of 60 people will tell me no. I'll grab the dog. I'll take a picture with the dog. I don't care. And then you know what I mean? And then some of the
Right.
times they'll be like, all right, come on, get a picture with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of shows that we're human and that we care and that we're going to be there. Like if I care enough to make sure that when you call me, I remember you, like I have a pretty good expectation that if you say you're going to come back out to my house and help my family, you're going to do it.
absolutely. So yeah, you set the expectation high and you deliver on it. You're there. When they need you, you pick the phone up. Like you said, I used to be scared to answer it too. I'm like, oh gosh, Ryan's going to cancel. But in reality, Ryan's like, hey, I got my policy and everything looks great. And you're like, like, why did I not answer that call? That's weird, right? So be who you are in the house, outside of the house as well. That's really important. And the claims rep, I like that you said that. Not only am I the field, I'm also the claims rep. So if someone tells me that they're the claims rep for like my, car insurance, like I'm saving that person, like they're very important because I know if I need to file a claim, I'm calling that person because that's what they call themselves, the claims rep. And essentially we are filing that paperwork with the client, or we typically should be filing that paperwork for that death claim with the client or the client's, beneficiary rather. But point being is you're taking that extra step. It's small little steps. Like I'm the claims rep. Let's take this picture. The reason I'm really adamant about taking a photo, and it sounds like same thing with you, Ryan, is because that it personalizes it. Like you said, it makes you like you're an actual person because we are. And also it's like they're gonna remember you every time you call or they call you, that picture is just popping up. Like I had this client, his name was Bob. He used to call me all the time and he would be like, I just love the picture. It was like an older guy. I think it's a great photo, but my point, like that's my client for life, right? But if I didn't take that photo with Bob, he might have not remembered, you know what I mean? So love that. And then, Ryan, your team's growing like pretty quickly, and it's been really exciting to see. And I believe at convention we spoke a little bit about you just opened up a new office. Is that right?
I did, yeah. Very
Awesome. And where
exciting.
is it?
It's in Glen Burnie, right? So if you fly into Baltimore, it's right by BWI. So
Awesome.
right in the center of Maryland.
Well, congratulations. That's a huge step. And it's a huge step, in the right direction. So super proud of you and super happy to hear that. So it's a big step, but it's a necessary step, right? What made you take that step and how has it already impacted your business so far?
Absolutely. So eventually what's going to happen is, I will be honest with you, I think in the beginning when I was more focused on just selling, the one thing I would have changed is I would have wanted to help more agents quicker, because this business is a very selfless business, not selfish. So I knew that in order to reach out and help more families, it doesn't matter how many families I personally help every single week. If I can help other agents help more families, I knew it needed to be done. Open up an office, give them a place to go, incorporate training, be able to listen to the people that are local that maybe hop on Zooms, but like me, I can't dial from home because the dogs start barking, the kids ask me a ton of questions. Like, it gives them a purpose when they leave their house and they go into an office. So I wanted to give that back because I know the office setting has helped me out so much and I wanted to give it back. So I'm really excited. It's already, I'll be honest with you, we haven't even had the grand opening yet. And I'm thinking, I was talking to Frank and I'm like, bro, we're gonna need to open up another location. Like we got too many people in here, so it's really, really, really exciting to actually see the people that weren't going to the other office, maybe because of the drive or whatever the reason was, but it gives them a second home and a place to go to. So I'm very honored to be able to give back and serve in that aspect.
Awesome. I love that, because what you're saying, Ryan, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were going to Frankie's office before, is that right?
Yep.
You were always there, dialing live, right?
Yep.
Day in, day out. You were always there. I always see you in the videos. So now being able to open up your own office in another space, it's another space for not only yourself, but for other agents, just like kind of how Frankie had provided that, Frankie and Jamie in the beginning for you. You want, other agents to have that same exact feel that you did when you came in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's an important place to be, because that environment's going to be one of two things, right? It's going to be a place of growth, or it's going to be a place of that it's toxic, right? And 99 out of 100 times, we're not building a toxic place, right? That's not the goal. So we're building a healthy home, and I'm really excited for you, and congratulations, early congratulations, because it's not the grand opening yet, but will be soon. And I love how you bring it back to, it wasn't about this is for Ryan. It was about this is for Ryan and team. This is for Ryan and anybody that wants to utilize this office that works at Family First Life. So you didn't make a selfish decision, like you could have got yourself like this executive suite just for yourself, right? You chose an office where other people can go.
You know what's crazy, Marissa, and I know we're probably, I don't know how long you take this, but the cool thing is we have other people from different teams that have no monetary value on my business. But what's crazy is it's vice versa. So when they come in, I'm able to provide some help and assistance for them. And then I learn and they teach me things too. Like, so what I've learned is if you are truly selfless and do as much as you can for your agents, other agents, you just genuinely want to see people win, it's naturally going to help you grow and get to that next level. So it's been a blessing thus far.
That's so true. And that comes right from the heart, you can tell, Ryan. So thank you for, you've helped me throughout this business in a lot of ways, whether that was directly or indirectly. You do an incredible job posting on social media, short tips and clips and things that always grab my attention. So I'm like, what's on Ryan's page today? Because you guys are always posting great content. You guys are always putting it out there, obviously to help, your team, but like you said, to help others. And then on top of it, it's like you said, you have other people coming into your office that are also adding value to you and your group as well. So it's a win for everybody all around. That's why I love WorkSpot. So it's amazing. And, you took in a really big step with the office this year, which is great. And kind of wrapping up 2022, what are some of your goals, whether that's personal, team, or both?
Yeah, I will, personal production, I'm on pace right now. I'd like to help 500 families this year personally. As a team, I truly believe that we will be over 1,000 families a month, probably closer to 1,200 families a month, maybe more. I mean, we never know. I mean, it's just growing so astronomically. It's, fast right now. I can't give you what it's going to be, but I can tell you what it's not going to be. It's not going to be anything less than 1,000 families a month. So
awesome. I love that. And no doubt in my mind, you're going to hit that, you're going to help that many families, 500 or more families. So no doubt about it, Ryan. I know how hard you work and how dedicated you are to your team. I know how hard they work. So no doubt you guys are going to be helping well over 1,000 families a month as a team as well, which is really exciting. So Ryan, thank you so much for being on. I genuinely really appreciate it. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your willingness to pour into the team and to pour into the company. So thank you so much.